This is Valley News Live at noon.
New at noon, shots rang out this morning at George Floyd Square in Minneapolis. Bystanders reported hearing dozens of gunshots just before a celebration of Floyd's life was set to begin. Minneapolis police spokesperson John Elder says someone showed up to a nearby hospital with a gunshot wound a short time later. They're expected to be okay. Now, coming up in just a few minutes on Valley News Live, Floyd's family is meeting with President Biden and lawmakers today. We'll talk about what they're hoping to accomplish. The man accused of starting a Minnesota bridge on fire last fall is going to prison and is ordered to pay more than $1 million in restitution. Ryan Johnson was arrested in September of 2020 for setting fire to a Star Lake bridge along Highway 41 in Otter Tail County. Johnson is sentenced to 5 years in prison and 10 years of unsupervised probation. Now, the more than $1 million he has to pay back will go to the state and county for damages caused. Investigators say Johnson told a neighbor he was going to blow up the bridge after someone ran over and killed his dog. Documents say matches, ammunition, a single-shot shotgun, and drugs were found inside his home. And under the bridge, authorities located several propane cylinders. Fargo police say whoever is involved with a deadly shooting at a restaurant and nightclub over the weekend showed no regard for public safety and is a risk to the community. 28-year-old Dominique McNair was shot and killed early Sunday morning in the parking lot of Africa nightclub and restaurant. Now, police said McNair was an employee of the nightclub, and friends of McNair tell us he had just started working as a security guard there. They believe he was trying to break up a fight when shots were fired. There's no word of any arrest yet, and anyone with information should call police or text Fargo PD to 847-411. Governor Doug Burgum is ordering flags in North Dakota to fly at half-staff tomorrow as friends, family, and law enforcement community members West Fargo Police Lieutenant Adam Gustafson. His funeral is at 1 in the afternoon tomorrow, and a ceremony with a 3-volley salute, taps, and a vehicle procession will follow. Now, the funeral is open to the public, and community members are welcome to pay their respects along the procession route. 25th Street will be closed from 34th to 37th Avenue South in Fargo until the vehicle procession has passed. Now, all West Fargo city offices will be closed tomorrow, and other law enforcement agencies will be responding to calls in West Fargo. Wednesday and Thursday garbage routes will be collected on Thursday. The officer's funeral will be live streamed at valleynewslive.com and on our Valley News Live Facebook page. Now, the temperatures are warm, but the conditions are still pretty windy. Let's check in with meteorologist Lisa Green. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday. Yeah, and those winds may get worse as we continue on into the afternoon for some of us. We have a wind advisory that's in effect for just about every part of the valley except for those tree-lined areas into Minnesota. Still a breezy day, but perhaps not as intense as those of us into North Dakota and along the Red River, where we have more of that prairie and open space. So our winds are quite strong. We're talking about wind speeds that are into the 20s and 30s here for us as we're looking again at that advisory lasting until about 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. Continuing to see those conditions be on the tough side. We'll take a look at those winds coming up here, but basically we're looking at winds gusting into the 30s to about 40 miles per hour. I'm having a little trouble with my computer. We've got clouds rolling in. You can see that over Devil's Lake and the Jamestown area, and there may even be some areas of spotty sprinkles into the northwest this afternoon, and then spreading eastward from there. So some changes coming our way with this wind. Much warmer in the south and east, where we're looking at temperatures in the 70s, even close to 80 at this hour, and then much cooler to the north and west, 60 right now in Devil's Lake. So a windy day, but maybe not the best day. You'd think it might be, but not the best day to go fly a kite. It's almost too strong. We're talking about winds up above that 35-mile-per-hour range. You could do some damage to your kite. It gets tough to control at those speeds, but you can see that the wind starts to ease up as we continue on into the evening hours. So we'll talk more about how long this wind will last, what we can expect this afternoon, and a big cool down coming up in a couple of minutes.
Well, I've never flown a kite before, but now I know today is not the best day to do so. Thanks, Lisa. Well, the family of George Floyd meets with President Biden and top lawmakers today to mark the first anniversary of Floyd's murder by a Minneapolis police officer. His death sparked ongoing protests and a re-examination of racism and policing in the United States. Skylar Henry reports from the White House.
A moment of silence will be held in Minneapolis this afternoon to mark the one-year anniversary of George Floyd's murder.
It has been a painful year.
Floyd's family is marking the somber occasion in Washington, D.C., meeting with President Biden and also with top lawmakers.
He wanted this meeting to be private in order to have a real conversation.
Floyd's murder, caught on cell phone and body cameras, sparked massive protests worldwide, calling for racial justice and police reform. President Biden called on Congress to come up with meaningful police reform by today, but that deadline won't be met.
We want to get this deal right and not quick.
One of the main negotiators, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey, tells CBS this morning he's hopeful a deal can be reached in the weeks ahead.
Everybody feels, I believe, a shared commitment to get something substantive, meaningful done that will create more transparency, more accountability.
In Minneapolis, the mayor has outlined policing proposals, re-emphasized or introduced after Floyd's death, banning neck restraints and chokeholds, and banning most no-knock warrants.
There are a lot of emergencies in our city that don't necessarily require a police response and aren't made safer by the department that we have.
The policing proposals come as crime figures show a 250% increase in gunshot victims across the city. But Minneapolis's focus today is on George Floyd, with a planned celebration of his life. Skyler Henry, CBS News, the White House.
Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer who had his knee on Floyd for 9 minutes and 29 seconds, was found guilty on 3 charges, including second-degree murder, last month. Now, the Fargo-Moorhead Black Lives Matter and One Fargo groups are also remembering the life of George Floyd today. An event is being held at Island Park from 6 to 7:30 tonight. The group is asking everyone to bring a flower to remember Floyd and others whose lives have been lost to violence or racial injustice. Families of people killed by Minneapolis police spoke at the state capitol yesterday, demanding justice and calling on state legislators to pass police accountability laws. Protesters say the real legacy of George Floyd will be in legislative changes. A federal jury has convicted a Deer River, Minnesota man of injuring people after hitting them with his car on the White Earth Reservation. Kevin Dorr is found guilty of assault with a dangerous weapon and assault resulting in serious injury. Documents say neighbors called 911 because he was driving through a neighborhood, chasing people and trying to run them over. Officers say they arrived to find a chaotic scene and 2 people badly hurt. The victims were airlifted to the hospital. Dorr has not been sentenced yet. Now, the Minnesota DNR is mourning the loss of a conservation officer killed while on duty. The State Patrol says 39-year-old Sarah Grell was killed when her pickup, which she was driving, was hit on the driver's door by a semi yesterday morning. The driver of the semi was not seriously hurt, and there's no indication on the police report which vehicle had the right-of-way. Grell had been with the DNR since 2005 and was part of a family legacy. Her father, grandfather, and uncle also worked as conservation officers. Her husband worked for DNR's Forestry Division, and her mother worked for DNR Fisheries until her retirement. You'll probably notice this show looks a little bit different today. We're in a temporary studio because our main studio is getting a big revamp. We're excited to share progress on the new studio when the time is right. Some big things are coming here at Valley News Live. Well, coming up at noon, high demand for products as businesses starts to reopen, and that's causing challenges for restaurants and consumers. And the wind has decided to come back again with our warm temperaters. Weather up next to Playing Your Day with meteorologist Lisa Green.